Where were you born?
In Poland.
Poland. Do you
I
remember?
have to give you the name of the place?
Do you remember?
Sure.
Okay.
Jorge Plotsker Gubernia.
Something.
Gubernia is a state. Plots is the name, like Dallas. Plots.
What were your parents' names?
My father's name was Abraham Morris. Avram Mason. Morris is his name. And my mother is Miriam Lieber. I'm telling you in Yiddish name, the Hebrew name, and then the English name.
What was their last name?
I'm born into Friedland, uncle, like you wrote to him about, that's my father's brother,
That's Uncle Dave.
Yes.
Friedland.
Okay. What about brothers and sisters? Do you have brothers or sisters?
I had one brother, Harry Cohen. Why is it Cohen? Because my mother's maiden name was Cohen. So when we came to the States, my father was killed in Germany. So my mother went to her name because it's easier the spelling. Friedland Cohen, C-H-E-N.
Okay, so you were born in Poland. Where did you live before you came to the United States? Did you stay in the same town?
Well, that's the story. That's a long story. I was brought up by my grandparents. So I have two sets of parents, but one in a different state, but the town was not too far, just one night travel by a horse. But I recall is when I was a little girl, and I says, I don't want to stay here, in my father's parents. So it came upon that I had a market in that town. And an aunt of my Jorge, my mother's family, came to that business and she picked me up and took me over. My mother, when we came in the middle of the night, and my mother says, did you bring my daughter? The Werke is in Yiddish. She says no, she didn't even feel like coming. Oh, it's too bad. Well, it's not so bad. I got it in the back of me. She kept. Well, that's all I remember about that far.
Okay. So how
My brother remained in my father's parents, and I came to my mother's parents. My mother didn't stay there. There was a maiden name, the younger sister was not married. She was a young girl, about 18, so she couldn't take it. So they didn't get along. So my mother says, why should I stay here and fight with her? I can go and make a living on my own. And she left to Warsaw, the capital of Poland, and there was she stayed.
is that Warsaw? Where did she go?
She got a job, a business. This I didn't know, I wasn't interested. Maybe I was 5, 6 years old. It is in very young stage when that happened, but I remember, I'm talking of years. Then my mother sent money and says, if you go to Hebrew school, the Jewish school, it's not Hebrew, it's Jewish. Girls, young girls, didn't supposed to learn Hebrew, only Jewish. So they should sign me up to go to the Jewish school. So that was I was doing. That was my schooling. Afterwards, I was old enough to go to a city school. That was free. So that was going to Polish school. So they taught us Russian, and Polish, because it's called Russia dominated Poland before the Powstanie, that's a Polish word, before the revolution. So, but from the next town was a higher school, so the dean came once a month to our town to examine how the teaching goes. So that's the time where the teacher would read everything we had to memorize, all the lessons we had to memorize. So the lesson was on the blackboard. So Polish was on top and Russia was on bottom. But when the dean had to come, Russia was on top and Polish was on the bottom. Well, I didn't stay that long because the next season they would take up German too. In Europe, they don't teach just one lesson. We were on the border of Germany, so they was like here with Mexico. But I didn't stay there long. I went to the other parents. The other state was Lumser, Gubernia, Lumser State. And I stayed there.
Okay, when did you come to the United States?
How did I stay there? Well, I came back to my mother's place. Then my grandfather died, my father's father died, and they couldn't take care of a little boy, so they sent him back to us. So we were together now.
That's your brother.
My brother. So he went to Hebrew school and I went to the Jewish school. Until something happened, I stopped going to school. My grandparents were very old people. So they said, well, you have to cry. I couldn't remember a sentence. I didn't remember, but I couldn't know what it was. I speak like I said yesterday. I can't get it out of my mind. Grandfather said, well, you have to cry, don't go to school. And that's the end. So I didn't go to school. But the next year he died. So my brother was in the other parents and I was here. And what happened? It was a big house with tenants I couldn't take care. And she had a son in Lumser, Gubernia. So he came down and sold the estate and left. You know, you divide the income, whether you brought in, and left $50, 50 ruble. Why? Because by that time my mother was in America, and there was an older son, my brother to my mother in Canada. So in case they will demand their share, so they left $50. The landlord had the man that bought a house. So there is $50. My mother wanted me. So how did I come? So my uncle took my grandmother and myself to his home. They had 3 children. They lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. They were very comfortable. And I stayed there 3 years. I was about 9 years old at that time. And I stayed there 3 years. The children of my uncle didn't go to school, but a man came in and taught them. So the little Russian that I learned is by listening. They didn't consider a girl was supposed to be educated. So I stayed there 3 years, and I says, what is this? I'm going to live that way? What am I doing? In families that are middle class, the girl's not supposed to go to work. They stay home. And they They raise like a balabuster, like, what is a balabuster?
Someone that does
Housekeeper.
everything.
Be a good wife and raise a family. That's what we were supposed to do and be in those days. I says, this is no way for me. I don't want to stay here. So my uncle says, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go back to the town, Horja. Why will you be there? The next town was my grandfather's sister, and they had a bigger town, and they had a store of clothing, no, material. I says, I go there, and I will say I would like to stay with them and help in the store. I got to do something for myself. So they let me go. I came to Kharzu. What are you doing here? I says, I want to go in that town and I want to do something for myself. I said, my aunt says, at that time the younger sister was married and had her own of her own. And she said, what are you going to do there? They make a maid out of you. I said, why would they make a maid out of you? There is, they have maids. But I have been brought up to obey. Grandma says, how it's cute. When I was a little girl, with Uncle Dave was the youngest in the family. So my grandmother was said like this. I said, why do I have to mind him? He doesn't mind me. And she says, look, an aunt, the Mexican girl's father, mother, was the oldest one. Ciociorewczy, church is aunt in Polish. Ciociorewczy is the oldest one. So the next one has to mind Ciociorewczy. And there was 3 girls and two boys, and my father was the oldest one. So Rebecca must mind Ciociorewczy. The next one has to mind Rebecca. Dave, Uncle Dave, has to mind her. And you have to mind him. And says, not only this, you have to mind all of them. Oh, he says, is that the way it is? Well, anyway, that was the rule. Grandma said so, that's so. So to this day, I can't. Anyway, so what did I do? She said, I can't go, I shouldn't go there to make a maid out of me. So what shall I do? One of my cousins was a dressmaker. So she says, I will teach you the dressmaking. Oh, that was fine. So I lived with one aunt in the cottage. She didn't have children. But the other aunt had 6 girls. So one of the girls was a dressmaker. So I learned to thread a needle. And she said, sew on a button. I put on the dress. She says, you make a good dressmaker. You need. Look how you put on the dress. It shouldn't. What's yesterday? Anyway, I get a letter from my aunt, Ciociorewczy. What is it? Uncle Dave got married, and he's coming on his honeymoon. He's going to America. I thought to myself, I should come, they want to see me. So I thought to myself, Uncle Dave got married, and you get a dowry, get money. So they're going to America, they have money, they'll take me with them. So I went back to Mischnitz, to my father's family, and it took a year by the time they came. So I stayed there. When they came, oh, it was so wonderful because I remembered the younger days. I was the tops in the family, the oldest son, the first granddaughter. My grandfather had to have me on the table to dance. and there was a plate of soup. And while I danced, I put in my foot in the soup. So Grandma says, what are you doing? He says, that's all right. I'll eat the soup because the berkele was in here. Anyway, that's the way it was. So I felt so good to see with them. How about taking me with you? Oh no, we can't do that. Why? Because they're taking Uncle Dave's sister and a brother sent for them. So it's for in a family, where would they do? I make too much of the family. We'll go first, and you stay here, and as soon as we can, we send for you. So I live with the hope. Every day I made a mark. One letter came, another letter went back, 2 months between one letter and the other. How about sending me a ticket? Oh, she said she just had a baby, and that cost money, and she has no money. It took about another year, that's 2 years already. How about now? And I heard the word, time is money. That's what I said, time is money. Why do you make me keep stuff long? Well, Uncle wrote a big letter. There's the marvelous life. They bought a store and they had to put in merchandise and they spend the money. No more hope. I got mad and I says, I'm not staying here. And my grandmother lived with a church lift at that time. Berkeley, why are you leaving? Aren't you happy here? Why do you want to go? I couldn't tell her how hard I am. And what am I doing? I'm already 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, because 12 years I was in Granada. I says, no, I can't stay here, I must go. Okay, I said, I want to go. So when there was another market, that was the only way. There was no transportation. When the people come with a horse and wagon with merchandise to sell on that market. So I went back. When I came back to Jorge, that girl, my cousin that was a dressmaker, went to America. So she had three sisters home, but she decided she was more modern, so she left. So when I came to Jorge, and they got a letter, and when they sent them back, they wrote to them that Verkele is back in Jorge. So she wrote back and says to her father, I would like to send for the Verkele to come to America. Why should he have to ask? Because she had three sisters. How about them first? But the mother wouldn't want them to go. So she said, her father said, not yet. Why? There was $50. Now I came back to the $50. The $50 is in the trust. I'm entitled to that. So if I am going and I'm not of age to demand the money, so I had to go to my uncle that I lived with them. But that time he moved to a different state, and I had to go there. So I went there to Germany to Greier just a couple of hours, and then I took the train and I went to Vilna. I didn't know. So when I heard that, when he got the letter that she wants to send for me, he said, my uncle, the family, the children were here, all of them, we were all together again, the cousins, we lived together in the Europe.
To get the money.
What was it that
Getting the money out of the trust.
Yes. So her father, Hitler, wasn't a talking man, but he caught me in a corner and he says, Berkeley, there is $50 for you and you can go to America, because when you come to America, beside the transportation, you have to have $50 to show that you will be independent, you wouldn't fall on the
Government?
yes. So what shall I do? He says, go to uncle, because he was the son, and he had the right, and he should give you a sign that this one, I could get the money. Well, I'll do anything. I want to go. I can't stay here. I'm choking. The town will not, you get upset. And I was a funny girl. I was always by myself watching more. And they were so strict. Anyway, it's too much to talk about. So I come to Uncle, and I tell him the story. Now I come to think, couldn't they write? So, and I tell him that if he give me the signature, I will go back and you would get rid of me. Because girls were getting married at 16 years. A friend of mine, we were had 4 or 5 girls. All of a sudden, that's the story, why I want to go to America. She was 16 years old. Her father comes home and says, my daughter, congratulations. What's the matter? You're engaged, you got a boyfriend. How come? That father, of course, went to a bigger city where there is a seminar with Hebrew education. So he goes to the dean and he says, tell me which is the best pupil and which is the finest man. So he pointed out, this one is a very nice, comes from a good family. So that was the match already. And in a couple of months he got married on Saturday, Sunday, but every day they went to the wedding. They went to the synagogue and the yard to get married, and all the crowd of people. And I was standing in the side. My girlfriend all of a sudden wear a long dress and a wig, they cut off the hair. And I says, my God, am I going to go through this? Oh no. That's how I felt. So I said to my uncle, I can't stay here. If I stay here, you have to marry me and provide with a dowry. That would be too expensive. Don't you want to get rid of me? I says, I want the signature that I should get the $50. He says, I wouldn't give you the $50. Go home and tell a good friend in the family, not uncle, my cousin's father, the one that wanted the $50, because he lived in the same store, and it cost $50 a year rent. So he figured that he will have the money. Anyway, so I go home and my heart was in my mouth. He doesn't trust me, but I have to do it. He wouldn't do it otherwise. And I go to that friend of ours and I tell him the story. If you write a letter to my uncle and tell him that I need the money, then he will know that the fact is that it is so. So that's how the money came. The signature came. So this friend gave it to my uncle, and then when he got the signature, then the money is already. So he wrote to his daughter, she says, send me a ticket. That's how I came. So I'm in America already.
So did you come by yourself? Were you alone?
Sure.
On a boat?
On a boat.
How long?
I came in 1912.
How long did the trip take?
How long it took?
How long did the trip take?
I don't remember how long, because I was very sick on the boat. You know, I was sick. So you have to go to Germany, around the border of Germany, and take a train to Amsterdam. There at the line. And when I did it, I entered the boat. So they gave me a pumpernickel, about £1. You have to get something. I had a straw basket. Now straw baskets is so fashionable. A straw basket with my possession. What was my possession? One nightgown. And I was always saving views, postcards with views, Russian. It was my life. And I had pictures of what I collected. And a pillow. They gave me a pillow and a pumpernickel.
Bread?
A pumpernickel bread. And I go. When I came on the boat, they not in first class, God forbid, second class, they use disinfection, and I still can't stand it. And you see people from all over the world. Then I got sick and I stayed on the bottom for a couple of days. And when I felt a little better, I came up. And there's a big table, a long table, and everybody sitting and eating, and I see a herring. Oh, I said, if I could get a piece of herring, I'd give you the whole pumpernickel of mine for that piece of herring. And since then I was all right. And then I'm in the Ellis Island. My cousin comes. The happiness, I'm on my own. Those days, they have trolley cars with 2 long benches, not seats like this. So it must have been late in the afternoon when the rush hours. And I look here, and I look there, and I look everywhere. And a man comes in with a painter with dirty overalls and dirty shoes. The next station, a man comes in with a box with tools, a carpenter. And I look, how come I sit with them? I didn't say anything. My cousin says, you see, this is America. Everybody's alike. There's no plush seat or other things. Oh, I says. And she talks to me and asks me questions. And whatever I say, she said, sure, sure. Then I stopped talking. She said, why did you stop talking? I says, anything I say, you bullshit, sure. She says, no, this is an expression. Okay. I come in. The next day, she lived with a family. And there were 3 girls were there. So they decided, it was a big apartment house, the east side. We have to take Berkeley shopping. We're not going to take her down and see the greenhorn.
What's that?
Greenhorn. That's why they call it newcomer.
Oh, newcomer, okay.
The next day they go and shop me too. Forgot the name of the street for clothing. They got me a blue suit and put on my hair. And that's not the same Berkeley. No, my Dora. So I was never called this greenhorn. And that was the beginning. I got myself a job.
Doing what?
Somebody from the crowd took me up in a shop. I knew how to work a machine. So they gave me, they used to have slips, all slips, princess style. So I made slips. My mother's in America. She's in Houston. What is in Houston? Where is Houston? They say call it Houston. Spell it Houston. Okay. I didn't even know where that is. I didn't think about nobody. I'm on my own.